Fantom isn't only a layer 1 coin that could potentially outperform a lot of its competitors, but you can actually also earn some pretty juicy passive income with it. What's up, my name is Caroline and this is Wealth in Progress, where you'll learn how to make passive income with cryptocurrencies. In this video, I'll give you an overview of the best Fantom staking options, because while a price increase on the base coin on Fantom is awesome, having passive income on that will give you a double return. Now keep in mind there are lots and lots of staking or LP options for Fantom. I'll just show you my favorite ones and I'll give you an overview in this video. In future videos, I'll do separate tutorials for each of those options, so be sure to subscribe so you get notified when those tutorials come out. Now, one more word of warning, a lot of these options are very high risk and therefore high reward. So what's very important for you is that you only invest money that you can afford to lose, do your own research, and none of this is financial advice. Now, as a crypto investor, you're likely looking for one thing above all else: how to buy the bottom and sell the top, right? After being in crypto for almost 5 years, my partner Kieran and I have learned a whole lot about charts and on-chain metrics that allow us to do just that. As a result, our portfolios have massively outperformed the market over the last couple of years. Now we'd like to share our tips and tricks with you. This is why we're holding a free masterclass where we share all of our secrets that allow us to buy low and sell high over and over again. Sign up now by going down into the description and clicking on the first link to get your invitation. Again, it's completely free and we'll show you our most successful trades and how you can replicate them. Alright, let's get started. So here's a quick overview of all the options of what I'm going to share with you today. So first of all, we're going to look at Fantom Foundation, then Yearn Finance, Spookyswap, Fantom Finance, Liquid, Driver, LPs, and then last but not least at Geist Finance. Alright, so let's start with Fantom Foundation. Now this is a very low risk and very easy way to get started with Fantom staking. The downside to that is that the APY, the return that you get, is pretty low. Now that doesn't mean it's still higher than what you get with a lot of other options outside of crypto, but for crypto it's relatively low. So let's take a look. So what you can see here is that you'll have to lock up your Fantom for a certain amount of time, and so that's like predetermined here. That is for a year, for 365 days, and in that case your APRs, so your annual return, would be 14.18%. But if that's a bit too long for you, if you don't want to be your tokens to be locked for that amount of time, you can drag it down, and the minimum is 14 days, and in that case your APR would be 4.63%. So you can see that makes quite a difference. So if you only lock it for 14 days, then your APR is pretty low actually. However, if you're very new to passive income or to staking and all of those options, and you definitely want to preserve your Fantom value, then this is probably the best option for you to get started. Again, a separate tutorial about that will be coming out very soon, so don't forget to subscribe, then you'll be notified when that goes live. Alright, the next platform we're going to look at is Yearn Finance. That's one of the staking options that is most commonly used on the Fantom ecosystem, and that's one of the reasons why it makes it relatively safe as well. Now, if we head on over to Vaults, you'll see what your staking options are. Now, the good thing is that unlike the other options I'll show you in a minute, this is single stake. These are single staking options, meaning you only stake one kind of coin and you get a return on that coin. That return can fluctuate, but it's only one coin. The other options I'll show you are LP staking. That means you need to take two coins together, and then you've got a risk of impermanent loss on top of all the other risks. So with this option, you don't have that risk. You only have the risk, as always, that there's something wrong with the dApp, with the smart contract. But since this is a very big platform, the risk is very low in this case. Now, since we're looking at Fantom staking options here, what you can see is you have wrapped Fantom, so that's the same as Fantom. And in this case, that gets you almost 8% APY. So the good thing about that is, compared to Fantom Foundation staking, you don't need to lock that. So you can just put it in here and you can unlock it or withdraw it at any time you like, and you still get 8% APY. Now, what Yearn actually does is that it is an asset management platform, meaning that it goes to other platforms, in that case on the Fantom ecosystem, and looks for different strategies where Yearn can make passive income for you. Now, this is the main reason why those APYs fluctuate a whole lot. I've been looking at that a couple of weeks ago, and the APYs have been totally different. I think they went up to 50%. So right now the highest you can get is with Boo at 28%. So this is one of the smaller risks that you need to keep in mind. You can't rely on those APYs to stay the same. They will fluctuate, but Yearn keeps adapting their strategies and looking for the best options to invest your money. But keep in mind, they fluctuate, and you'll likely have a different APY in 2 weeks from now than you have now. But for me personally, Yearn is one of my favorite passive income options, especially also for the stable coins. So especially if you look at MIM, if you're a bit more risk friendly, or even at USDT, 10% or that fluctuates, that has been higher, 10 to like 15%. That's a pretty good APY on a stable coin, and that's something that you can use during bearish periods like we have right now to preserve your capital and still earn passive income on it. Alright, platform number 3 for passive income on Fantom is Spookyswap. So that's actually one of the most common dexes where you can swap different coins on the Fantom ecosystem, but today we'll look at the farming options. So all of these options that I'm showing you now and the others that I'm showing you are all LP farming options. So what that means is that you take two kind of tokens and you provide liquidity for both of those pools. So what you basically have to do is you have to buy a separate token, the LP token, that consists of 50% each of this pair. So you choose a pair, you have 50% each, take that together, buy that LP token, and then stake it in there. Now that usually gets you a pretty good APR, a pretty good yearly return. As you can see here that we have 50% here, and that goes up to almost 90% or even above 90%. So that's the highest that we've seen so far, but there's also an increased risk involved in that. The main risk with LP token farming is the risk of impermanent loss. Now what that means is that depending on price differences, the ratio of your two tokens change. So let's say you put $1,000 worth of Fantom and $1,000 worth of another token, USDC for instance, in that LP token. If Fantom's price increases, then a portion of your Fantom gets sold and you receive more USDC in that case, so that your amount, the dollar value amount, stays the same. So you still have $2,000 that is in there, but part of your Fantom has been sold for USDC. Now that's not generally bad, but the issue is you lose money compared to holding all of your money, all of that $1,000 in Fantom. If you kept that $1,000 in Fantom and the price increased, then you had more versus having it in that LP token where part of it gets sold. Now, if you keep that risk in mind, then you can actually use that to your advantage as well. So what I like to do is, what I would highly recommend for you to only do is to only use pairs where one of it is a stable coin and the other one is a token that you want to have more of. So in our case, that would be Fantom. Now what you can do is, if you expect a bearish movement or a bearish period, you can stake your Fantom and stable coin in there, and when the price goes down of Fantom, you'll have more Fantom than USDC. So again, this is risky, and I would only do that for coins that you would want to have more of, but this is a way for you to basically DCA in, because it keeps buying more of those Fantom, and if the price decreases, you'll end up with much more Fantom than USDC, and at the same time you earn a return. But if that's a coin that doesn't have any value and that just gives you a high return, for instance, like if we just take this example, Brush, no idea what that coin is, that's probably pretty risky, and that's why the APR is so high. But what that means is, if that Brush decreases in price, you'll end up with a whole lot more Brush than Fantom, and then what do you do with that coin, because it might end up being worthless. So if you keep those risks in mind, then you can earn some pretty good rewards with that. Another thing that you need to be aware of is that if you stake on Spookyswap, you'll earn Boo. That is their inherent token, this one. You'll earn this one and you don't earn more Fantom. So you either have to always like daily go in and sell those Boo for more Fantom, or you have to bet on that increasing in price. So the options that I would recommend here, as mentioned earlier, are something like USDC Fantom, or just Fantom and another stable coin. So for instance, Fantom DAI gets you 31%, so that's pretty good. Also FUSDT and Fantom. All right, so I would say Spookyswap gets you a pretty good mix of medium risk and then medium reward. So you get some pretty good rewards, but the risk is not super high. Now, the other options that we're now looking at are pretty much in the high risk range. So you need to keep that in mind. You get very good returns, but the risk is also very high. So you could potentially also lose a lot of the value that you put in. So even if you earn a really high return, if you lose a lot of the money that you put in, that doesn't really make up for that loss. So just keep that in mind. There is a lot of risk involved with that. All right, now what you can do here is basically kind of a double staking scenario. So what you can do first is that you stake in an LP pool where you provide those two tokens together, and then you earn T-share. So I'll get to that in a minute, and then you can earn more rewards on that. So first of all, let's have a look at the cemetery. So these are the LP pools. So the best option is Tomb and Fantom. So let's take a look at that. Now, Tomb is actually a token that is pegged to Fantom. So if you stake in that pool, you should theoretically always have the same as if you just put in Fantom in a pool. So if it was a single Fantom staking pool, theoretically that's great, but you've always got the risk that Tomb loses the peg to Fantom. So just keep that in mind. But therefore you get a really good APR of 80%. So you receive 80% APR, but you don't receive either of those tokens, but you receive T-share. And then what you can do is in the Masonry, you can stake that T-share, and then you earn 1,400% APR on top of that. So both of that together gets you an insanely high APR, but also insanely high risk, because T-share could also decrease in value. So you've got a lot of different components that could decrease in value. But if you're a very risk-friendly person, that's a very good option to make some pretty good returns. All right, next one on the list is Liquid Driver. So that's another classic yield farming or LP farming option. So if we click on Hunt for Yields, you'll see you've got a lot of different options as well with pretty good APRs again. So the highest they have at the moment is this combination with 160% APR. But again, as mentioned earlier, I would recommend picking up an LP pool with Fantom and a stablecoin. So for instance, MIM Fantom gets you 51%. So that's way higher than the other options that I just showed you. Also, FTM and USDC with 47% is pretty good. So if you want to have a very simple Fantom LP staking option and you know the risk, then this is a very good option. That's very simple, very straightforward. Now, the last passive income option for Fantom on my list is Geist Finance. So that's another platform that will earn you a good reward, but is also pretty high risk. Now, what you can do is you can stake an LP between Fantom and Geist. So again, that's not Fantom and a stablecoin, which is what I would actually recommend doing. But the advantage is that you get a very good APY. So 250%, that's really good. And what you can do is, as far as I know, you get a Geist token, so their inherent token, you get that as a reward, and then you can lock that up and get even a higher APY. So afterwards, if you go to manage Geist, you can see you could either stake it without locking it up for 57%, or you can lock it for 3 months and get another 130%. And if you lock it in here, you actually get a couple of tokens as a reward. So you don't only get Geist, but you get a bunch of tokens. Actually, I think it's almost all of the ones that they have here. Let's have a look. I've done that for 3 months, and I remember I've received at least Fantom, a couple of stable coins, Ethereum or wrapped Ethereum, then maybe even one of those tokens from time to time. So that's really nice that you don't only get their inherent token, but you get a bunch of tokens that, like also the stable coins, that stay the exact same in value. So all of that together, getting that 250% and then potentially another 130%. And then what you can do on top of that is you can borrow money with those tokens that you receive. And you even earn a return for borrowing money that you can then stake back in there. So that's like an endless cycle that will earn you probably like a 500 or 600% APY if you do all of that combined. Now, of course, as always, we've got a lot of different risks involved with that, because earning such a high return has to have some risk involved. So you've got the risk of a permanent loss with the LP token. Then you've got the risk that Geist token decreases in price, which has happened obviously, and especially if you lock up your tokens in here for 3 months, if they decrease in value, then even the high return doesn't really help you out that much. But if you've got some spare money that you can afford to lose, then this is a really good way for you to earn some very good returns. Alright, so that's it for this overview of the Fantom staking options. So again, this is a quick wrap up of all the options that I've mentioned here. Now you need to decide for yourself how high of a risk you want to take and how high of a reward you want to have. So if you want to have a higher reward, then you need to be willing to take a higher risk. So you can think about all of those options for yourself and then wait for my tutorials that will come out in the future weeks. Don't forget to subscribe to be notified when those come out. Also, while you're down there in the description, don't forget to subscribe to our free masterclass that is coming out very, very soon. But also understand the best moments or the best periods where to buy and where to sell for maximum returns. If you like this video, hit the like button down below, share with your friends, and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!